mind is happy, then everything else just happens. You know, it's the same with wine. If you fight against wanting that little glass of wine while you're preparing dinner, then the mental damage that does is far greater than the glass of wine.
I totally agree. I totally agree.
Just go for it. Haven't we reached an age, Scott, where we can just be content and just do our thing?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Amen. Hold on. I've just got to close the door. 2 seconds.
Okay.
I'm back.
Hello. So let me properly introduce you to our audience. This is a dear friend that I've known since 2003. I figured this out.
Who?
You.
Me?
Yeah. That's when I met you in Montreal. Yeah.
Oh my God, has it been that
crazy?
long? Wow.
2003.
Oh, no, it's longer than that, because I met you in New York before Monton.
Oh, here we go.
And you always forget that. I know. I was there for my old school friend's wedding, and I met you in that strange little Irish bar that had tartan on the walls.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, that was the first time. Thanks, God.
Look, it's gonna sound bougie or whatever, but our mutual friend Tim Huckabee, who I'm in contact with again, by the way, because he's my neighbor and he's a good guy.
I know. Didn't you bump into Marty in the local shop recently?
Did he tell you that?
Tim told me that, yeah.
Oh, girl, this was like no. So okay, so all right. Let me just back up a little bit. So this is a special sort of subsection of the podcast where I check in with my friends and see how they're doing and everything. And I was walking to the market one day, this is like, I think last week. And the minute I saw Marty, I started to cry.
Oh.
And I was just like, oh my God, this is so fucking surreal. It's just, you know, all the businesses are shuttered except for the grocery, the pharmacy, and the liquor store. Thank God it's considered essential business. So that was difficult. And then they've since been really kind about like, let's take a walk in the park, you know, and we're going to start doing that on the regular. But anyway, to my guests or to my audience, my tens of listeners, I think it's more than that. I'm not sure.
Hey, you got to start somewhere.
This is my dear friend Louise Chivers, along with her husband Steve. Is Steve home?
He is, but he's a bit pissed.
Oh,
I mean, drunk, not angry. Drunk.
No, I know what that means. All right.
I know. You always have to clarify with Americans because
not me, girl, not me. We met in the South of France at your place in Monton. This gorgeous. Just everything it's like an Almodovar movie, that apartment. And we were at the beginning of our trip, and Tim and Marty were at the end of their trip. And once they introduced us, this is with Christopher, the four of us were kind of inseparable. In fact, to the point where I thought, like, every time we would leave in the night, late in the night, I would say to Christopher, like, are we like overstaying our welcome? Like, I don't want them to get tired.
No.
Night after night after night after night. It was brilliant. And we've been friends ever since. So how are you all doing in London, Louise?
Well, surprisingly well. I mean, I have to say my low points were probably about 10 days ago. Yeah. Or maybe actually it was probably 2 weeks ago today when the announcement came that schools were going to close on Friday. And then come the Friday, I lost it. I totally lost my shit. I couldn't stop crying all day, really, because, you know, my girls, both of them are at crucial stages of their education and their exams are deeply affected by this. We still don't really know how they're going to be graded. So that's all their schoolwork for all those years. We don't know how it's going to end. Also, they're both leaving that school they've been at for 14 years. So it was really emotional. It was also, that sense of impending doom was there, that all our liberties were about to be taken away from us.
Yeah.
You know, Boris only 3 days later then brought in the lockdown, but we all knew it had to come. And so it felt like on that Friday, when a bunch of us mums who were going to be there for the last time, and we'd been there for 14 years, we all congregated there through, you know, we didn't arrange it. We just wanted to be there to pick up our our kids for the last time from the school gates.
Wow.
And because we also all knew that that was going to be it for the foreseeable future, that none of us were going to be able to mix again. And so I lost it thinking of, all those carefree, happy times, you know, the photos that you have dotted around the house. I was looking at them thinking, my girls look so happy. We all look so happy. The sun is shining. When are we ever going to see that again? Yeah. So I had my really low point 10 days ago. And then, funnily enough, I was walking past a woman in the park who was saying to somebody she'd just met that she'd lost it today, that she'd cried 3 times today. Whereas I feel like I've turned a corner. I'm seeing more of the positives now. There is so much reinforcing the positive going around on social media and the internet about, you know, there are no planes. I've lived through flights. Now, when planes first were grounded, I missed them like mad. I just thought, this is weird. This is just a constant reminder of how screwed up we are at the moment. There are no planes. I went for a drive to Covent Garden with the girls. Go on. Let me just
interject. Let me just interject for our listeners, and now I can say our viewers. You guys live in Barnes, like a really beautiful part of southwest London, and you're very near Heathrow, and so you have planes flying over your
every 90 seconds, Scott. Every 90 seconds.
Wow.
So to not have that anymore was bananas, utterly bananas. Although, funnily enough, an Alitalia flight flew over today, and I was thinking,
really,
is that a good idea? Alitalia, exactly.
Maybe it has a prime minister on it or something. They probably have.
Yeah. Who knows? It was only one of their little ones, but still. So that's been a complete freak out. But now I'm enjoying being able to hear the birds sing. You know, it's just, the nature is the winner out of this. Most definitely. Nature needed a helping hand because, you know, she's given us so many warnings over the past few decades, you know, come on, sort this out. I'm not going to be able to stay in you for much longer. And she just said, right, I'm fed up. You clearly can't do it. I'm going to give you a helping hand, and if this doesn't bloody work, then you deserve your demise.
Yeah,
you know? So I'm
totally
on board with what nature is doing, because everywhere you look, she's benefiting. The deer in Richmond Park, there are no cars in there. They're not even allowing cyclists. You're not allowed dogs off the lead. The deer are so happy. You can just feel they've made a collective sigh of relief. It's going to be, that is all great, and it's all positive. The pollution levels, European cities have all dropped, of course. Same in China, you know, the 25% less CO2 emissions that happened in their first month of lockdown. You can see fish in the Grand Canal in Venice again. This is all great, great stuff.
Right.
And as viruses go, it's a benevolent one, isn't it? It's taken out what nature would normally do, the old and sick. And I don't like that, because I don't want, my mum, I'm terrified about. She's living on her own on the other side of London. She's 72. I've confined her to her house for the past 2 weeks, and now, you know, she wants to be. Oh, you lucky bugger. You're having a ciggy.
I know.
Oh, I wish I still.
I'm going to get so much shit from my family when they see this. Like, you know what? I'm coping. I know exactly. God bless.
So basically, obviously I hate the stories about all these people that have been dying alone because their loved ones aren't allowed. That's the biggest tragedy, that these people are dying alone. Now there are young people that are succumbing as well, for whatever reason that is. But you know, it's not like a war. You know, a war, young people die. They're the victims. It's young people. So this is just kind of accelerating a process that was coming anyway. Not saying that that's okay, but I think that if nature is going to try and teach us a lesson and kickstart her healing process, it's the most benevolent way to do it.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, exactly.
Like if we don't learn the thread of this whole thing that we're going through, and including everyone I've talked to so far about this, is if we don't learn from this, like there's all this good stuff.
Then we don't deserve it.
Like we need to like seriously check everything. Check the way we live our lives. You know, everything, every choice that we make, every person that we vote for, everything across the board. That's my hope for this, you know, is that as fucked up as this is, we finally have a kind of reckoning. You know? Like we have to really reckon with everything that's going on.
Exactly. I mean, certainly from the UK's perspective, the government have already acknowledged where they went wrong over the last 10 years and how this crisis has forced them to make those acknowledgements. And we'll never go back to decimating the NHS again. You know, I mean, I don't know if you've seen the applause that the health workers have been getting throughout Europe. You know, when people go on their doorsteps and they're
doing that here in New York now too.
Are they doing it now too? Yeah.
Like
so we did ours for the first time last week, and everywhere you go, there's posters up saying "Thank you NHS." You know, and you know, this is the other thing that I love about this is the hierarchy of society is completely turned upside down. Our new heroes are the delivery men, the supermarket shelf stackers, the bin men who are still coming and taking our rubbish. Imagine if they didn't. You know, this is brilliant. Who gives a shit about actors and pop stars and celebrity and politicians? These are the people that are really keeping us going. And if we forget that, I will be absolutely devastated, because that's the way it should be. I sound like more and more like a socialist every day, because I am loving this. You know, my bin man was coming past the other day, and I was waving at him through the window, and Connie was saying, "For God's sake, sit down. He's going to make it."
Listen.
But we're just so grateful.
To that point, so when I go, oh, Christian, come here, Christian.
No, I look horrible.
Oh, God. This is my friend Louise. You met Louise in London.
Hi,
Christian.
You have to get in the frame. I can't
terrible.
fix that.
I was just gonna go take a shower finally.
Wow. Hi, Christian. You look gorgeous. What are you talking about, man?
Oh gosh, stop lying.
Oh, and then,
I know it's early there. Oh, look at Tito.
I want to introduce you to Tito Lapacha.
Oh, oh, that's cruel, because I can't give him a stroke.
He's usually really okay. My God,
that's why
he doesn't seem to like that, Scott.
He's normally really chill, except when you pick him up. Well, not always.
Well, clearly he loves Christian. He followed Christian in, and he followed Christian back. Is it breakfast time or something, or lunchtime? Huh?
He loves me more. I'm just saying.
Of course.
Christian will agree with me. No, it doesn't matter. No, but he's an amazing little creature. I wanted to go back to a point that you were talking about saying hello to your bin man and stuff. So I have made it. I mean, I did this before. Like, I can't say that I didn't do this before, but there's much more of an urgency when I go to the grocery. And these minimum wage workers are out on their registers every single fucking day, you know, 7 days a week. and I make a point of interacting with them, which I've always done, but like it's more like, how are you doing?
Yeah.
How are you? And it's amazing to me um how much people want to talk.
Mm.
They just want
But
to, like,
we didn't give them the opportunity before because
no,
everybody was just busy doing their day-to-day
right.
stuff, and you don't notice.
I mean, it's again, to the point that you were making earlier, um, these are the things that we have to really focus on now,
Yeah.
Really interacting with people, um, that if they weren't there, we wouldn't be able to get food. There's lines outside of the grocery, the pharmacy, and
Yeah.
the liquor store. And at first that was really upsetting to me. And now I sort of understand, that it's a good thing. It's just, it's hard to kind of wrap your head around. But all of these things, like we're talking about, like the hierarchy, as you said, has been turned upside down, and that's a good thing.
Yeah.
I just hope it lasts. I really
I
want it to
know. I
last.
mean, I don't have a lot of faith in it lasting, because everybody just wants to get back to normal, and they'll be doing it as fast as they can, and then it's, those sorts of feelings are easily forgotten. But I think that we've experienced them now, and so they'll always be easily tapped into. Like, I am not a human person. I am not a humanist at all. I love trees, I love dogs, I love every sort of fairy animal or bald animal, but not so much humans, because I've always been
Except for
I've
you.
always been so pardon?
Except
you, of course. And I've always just been so distressed at the damage that humans have caused to the planet, and me included, because you just get caught up in it because you fly, and that one person isn't going to make a difference when you abstain from that. Steve will tell you, because he doesn't fly. But when we went to Covent Garden for our little Saturday night drive a week ago, God, time gets really distorted, doesn't it?
I know. I don't even know what day it is.
Exactly. It brought a tear to my eye, because there was not a soul. And I never thought I would miss crowds. I never thought I would miss that hustle and bustle of human activity. But the weird thing that this isolation has done has brought us closer, because we have our street, as soon as this kicked off, there was a WhatsApp group created for the entire street, for anyone in isolation, for any old people. Obviously, there are old people that aren't on social media, but they could still call. There's a huge, and that is replicated everywhere, absolutely everywhere. I talk to my mum now every day for up to an hour. I know, sometimes a month would go by and I wouldn't talk to her.
I love your mum. Please give her.
That's bizarre.
We've talked about this. She was really lovely when I was going to school there, and really supportive and stuff. And I just think she's cool. Please give her my best when you talk to her.
I will. But that is the weird thing, that it's that in our social isolation, it's brought communities closer together.
Yeah.
And I think that is, I'm writing a daily diary. I'm trying to get it from I'm trying to get it from a 3-generation perspective. So I've got my mum writing one, and I'm trying to get Connie to write one. Maddy flatly refused. The English A-level student said no, but Connie kind of said, yeah, all right, I'll do it. Because I would love to be able to bring together all the thoughts from 3 different generations, because this is history in the making.
Exactly.
And so within that, I've started writing a list of the things that I really want to do when this is all over. And the only thing I've managed to get on that list so far is I really want to hug my friends. And I am not a hugger. But I really want to just grab them and not let go. I'm a mum, obviously. We went over on Mother's Day and we left presents on the doorstep, the girls and I left presents on the doorstep, and then we stepped back in the road and we had a conversation with her, across the fence and garden gate and what have you. And And I really want to give her a big hug. And I never thought I would ever want to hug my mum. So I think that this is a reset button that the human race needed. We got lost in achievements and goals and speed, and you're failing if you're not achieving. If you're not always busy, if your diary's not full, then you're failing. This is our reset button to say, stop. It's okay to stop and do nothing. It will.
I'm writing this down for my show notes. Reset button for humanity.
Yeah, I really believe that, because it's putting us in contact. It's connecting us with what actually matters, and that is our relationships with each other. They are all that matter. They're all that matter.
Exactly.
I mean, obviously, you've still got to feed yourself. You've still got to put food on the plate.
Hey, let me ask you, in terms of that, like logistically, do you have food delivery services there that you can use, or?
Yeah, there's plenty. I mean, so Covent Garden Market has now gone into delivery, because the fruit and veg side of things, mostly they would serve the restaurant industry, caterers for events, all that's gone, as I'm sure you know.
Right.
And so for them to try to survive, they're now doing home deliveries to people. So people are trying to be inventive in that way. All the local shops around here, I think that's also what's going to help, the local shopping community. You've still got that in America to a certain degree, whereas we've become quite large supermarket, buy everything under one roof centric, which Americans started, but your little areas like Inwood, they've still managed to retain a bit more of that community spirit, haven't they?
Yes, and I would say also, we don't have giant supermarkets in New York City. We have, Fairways, and there's another one that I can't think of the name of, but for the bulk of New York City, Manhattan, Brooklyn, Queens, whatever, I mean, the further you go out, the more you see these giant supermarkets, but for the most part, it's like small, independent.
Whereas we have it.
Yeah.
We have the small people, but generally people prefer to go to the bigger, easy to park, get it all under one roof, bring it back. We're victims of that as well.
Mm-hmm.
Well, not victims of that, we're perpetrators of that too.
Right.
But the local shops on the high street, the greengrocers, the butcher, and just the local kind of grocery shop, they're all offering online orders, and you come and collect in a delivery slot. So you collect it. So they'll have it all prepped up for you, ready. You can pay for it online. They just have it in a bag ready for you to just pick up and go. They will deliver if you're isolated or you're old, but they're trying to reduce that, because obviously they want to maintain that they want to keep that open for the properly in need people. So people like us, we can just give them our order online and go and walk over and pick it up. Right. So there's all sorts of ways that people are bringing, just helping, because they need to keep money coming in themselves, although it's an incredibly generous package from the government. But it's great to see that people aren't all just taking advantage of that. They're still trying to provide where they can.
Right.
And there's lots of lovely stories like that.
That's fantastic. Has Connie started writing in the journal?
She has.
Okay.
I don't know what, but I don't want to know what. I don't want to see it until all this is over, because I just want to see each generation's perspective. And, there's obviously going to be, there's peaks and troughs. I'm having a peak at the moment, but I'm sure in a week I'll have a trough. Because if we do end up being like this for 3 months, both of them have got boyfriends. That poor Maddy, unfortunately, she got her boyfriend a week before all this happened. So,
oh, no.
I know. So she's in desperate longing. And they're both being really good about it. They understand that the stricter the measures are now, hopefully the shorter the period can be, and the more people's lives can be saved.
Right.
They completely get it, and they've completely got on board with it. And we're quite lucky because we don't mind each other's company. You know?
Oh, I know. I mean,
yeah, I mean,
luck
we've
has nothing to
spent.
do with it. Luck has nothing to do with it. You guys are amazing parents, and those
Oh,
girls are just. I love your whole family, and
oh.
I can't wait to see what Connie comes up with, because I love that girl's mind. I said this years ago. Remember, I said, okay, I love both of your kids, and they're both going to do well, but there's something about Connie.
Mm-hmm.
She's got this. She looks at life like that, like from.
Yeah.
I find her fascinating.
But you know what I love?
Connie.
That's what I love about you, Scott, is you see that, because a lot of people just dismiss her, but there is a lot going on in there, and she definitely sees life outside of the box, and that just makes her an interesting person. But not everybody can see it, and you can. So that makes you a special outside the box thinker as well.
I'll go on. Yeah. So it's the reason, I don't know if I said this earlier, forgive me if I did. I just did an interview with my friend Brendan in Paris.
How are they doing?
He's doing pretty well. He's young. He's going to school there. He's from California, but he's been living in Paris for 4 years. And we talked all about, the social health system there, and how they made mistakes as well about, acting too late. But at least they're like the NHS equivalent in France is taking care of people. And it's got its problems, he said, because they're spending all this money, and then it's going to have a reckoning, sort of after this whole thing ends. Hopefully it ends.
Yeah.
And then where's the money coming from? But oh God, what was I going to say? Fuck, I just lost my train of thought. I don't know. We
were talking about Connie and how outside the box she is, and then you said you just got off talking to your Parisian friend, or your friend in Paris.
No, I forgot what it was.
Lost the thread.
I lost the thread. It happens. It happened even when I was younger.
It happens a lot.
I would love to say that it's just because of my age, but honestly, I've always been like this.
I know, me too.
I know. I'm just glad to talk to you. I'm really grateful for this kind of Jetsons technology,
I know, it's great, isn't it?
I've never been so talking on the phone, talking on video chats, ever.
Exactly.
Like
exactly.
3 weeks ago. I mean, everything shifted, as you say. And I'm just so grateful that we can do this, because it's almost, I mean, you mentioned this earlier, I'm Italian. And so for me not to like kiss and hug people it's like someone cut off my arm. Like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
And it's really fucking difficult, but this is the next best thing. And of course, it's an attitude for like, I can't wait to like, is it, as you say, hug you and not let go of you when I see you next.
Yeah. Exactly. It's going to mean so much more. Hey, I just had a thought. Maybe it was the tech giants that introduced this virus to make us all dependent on this remote communication. There's a thought. Conspiracy theory number 500.
Oh my God.
I am not normally a conspiracy theorist.
I'm thinking of the fact that human beings seem to want to put everything in their mouth, like eating bats and eating shit like this. Like,
I know.
I'm not going to say that it's any, more righteous to eat a chicken that's been cut up and doesn't even look like a chicken in the supermarket and stuff like this. But, we got to stop putting shit in our mouths, man. Like,
exactly. And we've also got to stop chopping down their habitats, because the more we destroy their habitats and we encroach on their lives, the closer they are to us. So they would normally have their own little ecosystem within their their evolution way of dealing with things that deal with these outbreaks within their own communities. But because we've interrupted that cycle for them, it means that it hops out and it finds another host.
Right.
So all of it has to change. Yeah, we've got to stop eating stuff that we just shouldn't be eating, and we've got to stop destroying the habitats. That bloody Bolsonaro down in Brazil, he needs lynching. And this is the other thing that I'm hoping that is good that comes from this, is that Bolsonaro's ratings are dipping. Trump's unfortunately aren't yet, but somehow, you know, he has a kind of magic wand and he manages to turn it around. He's appealing to some very interesting people out there on your side of the pond, isn't he? But, you know, if Bolsonaro goes, that would be amazing. Amazing.
And
that, they're the lungs of the earth down there. And to have such a madman at the helm of that is really scary for all of us. And they just keep killing people. You know, if you stand in the way of them chopping those trees down, you're dead. So, you know, what do you do when you're up against that? So hopefully enough people will wake up and smell the coffee down there and make a change.
I had a chat with my friend Stephen, who lives in Sao Paulo, and he's American, but he's been living there for a couple of years, and we talked all about Bolsonaro and what, you know, the shocking corollary between him and Trump. It's just, as you say, I'm hoping, again, like, we just have to like wake the fuck up and start paying attention more. I mean, just us as the populace, you know, and pay attention and start making changes, because they're supposed to work for us, you know. I mean, fucking Boris Johnson finally came to his senses, and like, that's Boris fucking Johnson, you know, like, I know, a little too late, but at least he got on board. Trump is still not on board. He still thinks like, oh, I want to pack the churches for Easter. Like, okay.
I know.
Normally my response would be like, okay, Darwinism in action, you have at that. But then all those fucking yahoos in that mega church are gonna like go out to wherever in their community and infect other people. Like, that's where I have an issue with that. It's like, if you want to be, you know, stupid and not listen to science and not be logical and reasonable and pack your mega churches for Easter Sunday, that's great. But then you're going to go to the market and you're going to go to the grocer and the
don't inflict it on the rest of the sane people. I know.
You just don't get it. But anyway, I'm glad you're on a peak, because I'm on a peak too.
I'm on a peak.
I know that.
Where are you at the moment? Would you say you're at a peak, or are you at a trough, or are you halfway?
I think I'm more halfway, only because, you know, I try to be informed, but New York City right now it's pretty bad. There is some sort of like the trajectory has gone sort of like this, and now it's starting to kind of. Is it? Maybe.
How is it
we're
done
all
that when
inside.
you don't have any enforced measures? So
we don't have enough PPE for our medical people, like protective equipment.
Same here.
We don't have enough testing and stuff. But at least in New York State, like if you look at a map, if you go to like Washington Post or something, and you look at a map of the U.S. and the numbers of states that have enacted, you know, shelter in place, there's like 8 states and 10 states in the whole fucking country, and the whole middle of the state, nothing. And then there's like in the periphery between the coasts and the middle, there's like kind of, you know, county by county, whatever. There's no, the whole country should be locked down, you know, but we've got all
it's
these
big bloody
mayors.
Country. I know.
We've got all these mayors that are just, you know, evil, and as far as I'm concerned, and not understanding, not, you know, having scientists advise them, but having fucking preachers. Like, okay, how's that going to work? You know, so my concern, not so much for New York State, New York City, which is really bad. It's like sort of ground zero again for all these infections and deaths. But at least we have in place, you know, some measure of control from our governor, not our president, from our governor.
Yeah.
The country's in a free for all.
Yeah.
So I don't know how long this, I mean, they're already, you know, sort of New York City, because of the commerce and travel and stuff, like got hit really hard. But it's only going to spread at a certain point. And my concern is, you know, we're going to be sort of, they said at the end of this month, then we're going to start, you know, number of infections going down.
Yeah.
But then all these other places in the country haven't even begun.
Haven't started.
Like,
yeah, exactly. So you still can't move anywhere. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. In the middle of the country, there's no measures in place. So everyone's going to the church, and everyone's, you know, fucking Florida, like all of these yahoos on spring break, and then they go to the rest of the country, and that spreads it even more. And like that's what's really alarming.
Well, that's exactly what happened here with the you know, our February half term. Everybody went to northern Italy skiing and brought it back. So it's very, you know, this is where globalization just is working against us. And again, it's Mother Nature saying, you know, stop having so much of this globalization. Stop having so many flights here, there, and everywhere.
Right.
You know, it's the warnings that we have to learn, most definitely. I mean, we're looking at having about 20,000 deaths, and we're at 2,000 at the moment. And we think that if we can cap it at 20,000, we will have done well. So we are a long way away.
Wait, for the country or for London?
Yeah, for the country.
Oh.
But it's so much easier to manage because we're tiny, aren't we?
Yeah.
So, you know, I you know, can't bear Trump, but if he does get to grips with this, it's a hell of a job. You're a continent, for God's sake.
He's
you
not
know,
going to get to grips with it.
I can't imagine. And you know, and they always have to have their eye on the economy because this is going to bankrupt the world. Absolutely bankrupt the world. So I don't know. Like, I don't know where we start again.
The economic impact is going to be, I don't want to say worse than the numbers of deaths, but it's going to linger on long after this.
Yeah,
over.
it's going to be
it's
years.
Really scary.
Yeah.
Hey, are the girls home? Could they say hi? Would they come on and say hi?
I will have a go.
Okay.
Wait there.
Louise's daughters, Connie and Maddy, are just like the most lovely human beings, and I would like for you to meet them.
Oh, marvelous. Well, just come and say a quick hello to Scott.
Connie, Maddy.
He's coming.
He's an amazing human being.
They're coming.
Yay!
Hi, Scott.
Hi. Oh my God. How are you?
Hi.
Hello, my lovely.
How are you?
We have Maddy on the left and Connie on the right, and they're two of my favorite human beings on the planet. How are you doing?
Fine. Yeah. Good.
Coping.
Not liking isolation. But
No, getting bored.
I know. I'm really, your mom and I were talking about, you're on a podcast, by the way. This is my podcast. So,
wow, hi.
Welcome. Way Off the Record. It's called Way Off the Record. It's available on all your platforms, Apple and Spotify and all that stuff. And I'm doing this whole sub-series of like checking in on my friends and people that I care about.
Aww.
So how are you doing?
Not liking it that much.
No.
Because we miss our boyfriends.
Yeah.
But it's okay. We have the dogs and we still have a lot of schoolwork to do to keep us busy. So we've been working loads. So we're not really bored yet, but we'll see how it goes.
I know. We're all in this madness together, and I'm, again, I'm really grateful for like video chats. It's very Jetsons, which is probably before your time. But it's really helpful to be able to like see people and hear their voice and stuff. And the next best thing is actually being in the same room with them, but that will come.
Yeah.
You know? So
no, fair enough.
Connie, you're
How
so
are you?
tall. How am I?
She's not.
Yeah, I am.
What?
Hello. He's
Right.
saying that I'm tall and that is short.
Yeah. Okay. Have you had enough of them, Scott?
Not quite. Cheers.
Why?
I've got the line.
Cheers.
I just wanted to let you know, you both, that I adore you. You know that.
Aww.
It breaks my heart that you have to be so young to go through something like this, but you have great parents and you have a great support system, and we just have to like literally stay at home and just contain this shit, because it's the only thing we can do.
Exactly.
And I love you both.
Oh,
we love
you,
you too.
Scott. We love you too.
Right, I'm back now. I'm going to send
All
them
right.
away.
Goodbye, girls.
Bye, Scott. Bye, Scott. Love you.
Bye. I love you too.
Right,
Oh
I'm going
my
to wrap
God.
this up, honey. I know.
I got a little choked up. I gotta tell
It's
you.
10:30 at night now. We need to do a little bit of chill time before
Hey.
bedtime. So I'm going to wrap this up. Have you got enough from me? Is that?
I do. I have everything I need from you, although I want to check in with you in a couple weeks and just see how we're doing, and of
Hope
course,
that I'm
you know,
still on that peak.
well, but as you say, we have to expect that we're not going to, it's going to be peaks and troughs and stuff. And so, aside from this podcast thing, just text me as you always do.
Yeah.
And I'll do you. And if you need to talk off the record, way off the record, you just let me know.
Okay. All right. That's lovely to know. And it's so nice to do this. This is one huge bonus.
Yes.
We would never have done this otherwise.
I know. It's fantastic.
Bizarre.
I love you,
exactly.
Louise. I love you, Louise. I love the girls. Please kiss Steve for me. And
I will.
We'll talk soon.
Yeah. Mwah. Mwah. You shut it off.
Okay. Oh, I have to do that. Okay.